Okay, we're at our next stage, and probably the most important stage in home brewing, and that is starting our main pot or boil, making our wort. We have two different types of pots to work with, a 3-gallon and a 5-gallon. But before we even talk about that, we need to be sure that we have the right water. Most of the time tap water is going to be fine. If you do use tap water, you're going to need to boil it, some of the impurities out of it, or at the very least you're going to have to let it sit and let some of that chlorine evaporate. A good person or source to check with on the quality of your local water source is your home brew shop. They're going to know, and they're going to be experienced with whether your local water quality is up to standards. Bottled water as well is a simple solution to that. It's ready to go right out of the bottle. Okay, I'm going to talk about the differences in the two pots and why you'd want to use one versus the other. For one thing, you don't want to use aluminum. It will ruin your beer. It is a no-no in home brewing. And so what we have here are essentially two pots. One actually is made of aluminum, but it's got this ceramic coating on it. And that's why it's perfectly acceptable. It won't do anything to our taste, and that's why we're using it. It's our low-cost option. Our 5-gallon stainless is kind of what you work up to or upgrade. If you want to go ahead and you can justify the expenditure, you could buy this right off and begin with the 5-gallon. You'll need this contraption over here, however, called a wort chiller. So we're not too concerned with this right now. It has its advantages of doing everything at once in 5 gallons, getting it up to a consistent boil when we're mixing in our malt. But you'll see that we can make just as good of a beer by using the cost-effective and also a pot that we could use if we're not a purist for making pasta and other type of culinary delights. We're going to concentrate for this session on making 5 gallons using our 3-gallon. How will we make up the 2-gallon difference? We will add 2 gallons of water that we've previously boiled and then chilled. One of the advantages, low-cost options of this, is that our chilled water, in addition to the ice bath that we put it in, will help get our temperatures down to the 70 degrees Fahrenheit that we need when we're starting to pitch our yeast. So we're going to head over to the sink. We're going to go ahead and fill this to 3 gallons, and then we'll start our boil. And that begins the process. So let's go ahead and take it over here. Okay, we're about at our 3-gallon mark. Let's shut the water off. Let's get this over to the stove and start our main boil. Let's get that nice and hot. Now we're going to go ahead and add this concoction. If you'll remember, we have our specialty grains over here. It's the perfect time to add it. So pour that good stuff in there. Go ahead and put the lid on. Let this start getting up to a boil, and when it does, we can move on to our next step of adding our malt extract.